Number 10. Katy Perry collects hair. The singer was once asked during an interview a very simple and cute question of, "What's in your purse?" And fans perhaps hoped that she would respond with a bottle of Killer Queen or a cupcake crumb. But Katy Perry answered, "It's just a big empty bag." But she went on to describe what used to be in the purse. She claimed that while in attendance at her first Grammy Awards ceremony, she got to share a dressing room with Miley Cyrus and Taylor Swift. Now with all that excitement, you'd think she'd ask for a picture or something, right? No, she asked them for a lock of each of their hairs, which Katy found, quote, "totally awesome." Well, her definition of the word awesome must be very different from ours, because this sounds just creepy as all heck. She then elaborated that she would tie little bows to each of them and put them in her purse. Now this sounds so made up, how could it be true? Well, Miley and Taylor actually backed up this story online, and Perry claims to this day that Miley Cyrus is both the most famous person in her purse and in her contacts. Oh, hey, Katie, I think you dropped something. Number 9. Ellen mistreats employees. In her first on-air appearance since announcing the end of her eponymous daytime talk show, Ellen DeGeneres called the press cycle around allegations of toxicity at her workplace orchestrated and misogynistic. The announcement that her show would be cancelled came after months of receiving negative press following a BuzzFeed article reporting former employees alleging that the environment was racially insensitive, filled with harassment and bullying. Ellen maintained in interviews that these allegations were not the reason that she would be leaving the show, simply claiming that the program was no longer challenging for her. While the BuzzFeed report did not allege toxic behavior by Ellen herself, several former staff members claimed that the whole "be kind" motto she had was not genuine at all, which was reflected in a Twitter thread published by comedian Kevin T. Porter. He asked people to send in their horror stories about the host's rudeness over the years, and he received over 2,000 replies. Warner Brothers opened an investigation and concluded that there were some flaws in the day-to-day management at the studio. Following this, Ellen appeared on the 18th season premiere of her show in 2020 and made an on-air apology to viewers, claiming responsibility, later stating that there was no way she could know the true nature of the work environment due to the 255 employees that worked for her across multiple buildings. Hey, ever heard of like a complaint box? Number 8. Prince Charles's affair. He's now the King of England, but he's not always played by the rules. You see, in 1981, Prince Charles, at the time, married Lady Diana, who was 20 years old at the time, leaving a 13-year age gap between them. Behind closed doors, it was speculated that Charles was never in love with Diana in the first place, and it was later proven to be true. While on the outside things seemed pleasant, behind the scenes, Charles was secretly meeting up and having an affair with his ex-girlfriend Camilla Bowles. The alleged relationship was written about in the 1992 Diana Her True Story book, but in 1994, Charles confirmed the allegations in a documentary, because that's a great place to do that. The couple filed for a divorce in 1996, and Diana died 1 year later. While the now king made it clear that he had no plans to remarry, he ended up getting remarried in 2005 to, oh hey, look, it's Camilla Bowles. Shocking. Number 7. Jonathan Majors charges. Jonathan Majors may be familiar to those of you who are fans of the MCU as Kang the Conqueror, the newest big bad addition to the never-ending roster of villains in Marvel's Rogue Gallery. Unfortunately, it looks like he may end up getting the CGI eraser treatment due to an incident in March of this year. Majors was arrested on misdemeanor charges of and following a domestic dispute with his girlfriend. These charges, however, would only be the first domino to fall, as rumors began circulating about similar instances in the past, with many people in both the Yale community, where he went to school, and the New York theater scene, where he studied and practiced performing, claiming Majors was well known for being emotionally violent and professionally abusive, but never physically violent. While Majors is currently in a battle to prove his innocence, claiming the situation to have been blown out of proportions, a series of texts uncovered by his lawyer seemingly proved that there was some merit to the incident. They showed Majors' girlfriend had passed out during the incident and as such had to be hospitalized, where she was reported to have several bruises and scratch marks throughout her entire body. This meant that the charges would stick, and Majors is definitely on his way to the bottomless pit of cancelled celebrities. Number 6. Caitlyn Jenner's transition. Now, this one isn't disturbing because of Caitlyn, it's because of how many people felt that her business needed to be a part of their lives. Let people live, you jerks. Rumors had been circulating of Caitlyn's transition since the early 1970s. The former Olympian had publicly denied these rumors for years, with many family members and friends even backing her story up time and time again. But in 2015, the rumors had begun surfacing again due to Jenner being spotted leaving a doctor's office by a tabloid journalist, supposedly after just receiving estrogen treatments. Jenner had also recently undergone reconstructive surgery, which seemed to only add more fuel to the fire. The photo taken and the speculation began to go viral, despite Jenner not being fully out at the time. But a few months later, following these events, she came out as transgender on a highly publicized interview for Diane Sawyer. In the interview, Jenner expressed the gender identity struggles that she has faced through her entire life, having to hide her true self in order to maintain some macho, sporty persona and for fear of not being accepted. Even revealing that her first wife, Christy Scott, was the first to really understand her struggles, and despite being divorced in 1998, she's publicly expressed her well wishes towards Caitlyn and how proud she is for being herself. You go, girl. Number 5. Kevin Spacey. For a long time, Kevin Spacey was well known in the Hollywood community as a quality actor with a steady career and no signs of that stopping. That was until October 2017, when a BuzzFeed article, once again, had been published alleging that Spacey had made unwanted advances towards a then 14 Anthony Rapp. Spacey was quick to deny the speculation, claiming it to be another Hollywood scandal to fill screen time, but since the release of that article, 30 more people have come forward with their own allegations against Spacey, ranging from harassment to attempted assault. Spacey pulled back, fake apologizing for what he says must have been some drunken behavior to Rapp, and he even attempted to shift the subject by coming out of the closet. But the truth had already been set free, and becoming a part of the now famous Me Too movement, Spacey was dropped from all projects he was involved in and has been on Hollywood's blacklist ever since, where he rightfully belongs. Number 4. Tiger Woods' infidelity. Since 1999, the famous golfer had not gone a single year without winning at least one golf major championship. In fact, between the years of 1997 and 2008, he had won 14 majors. He was married to a model, had a beautiful home, and pockets full of cash. What more could you want? Apparently for Tiger, he wanted someone that wasn't his wife. In late November 2009, Tiger was seen by neighbors being chased out of his home by his wife, Ellen Nordegren, with a golf club, before peeling out of his driveway in his Escalade and crashing into a fire hydrant and then a tree. He lied unconscious on the street for 6 minutes before coming to, but by that time, it was already too late. News coverage began speculating that there must have been some case of infidelity with Tiger and his wife. And while rumors had speculated that Tiger had a mistress on the side, it turned out that this guy had a lady in every course, so to speak. He admitted on air to the misdoings and lost his endorsements with Nike, Gatorade, Gillette, and Accenture, before announcing his retirement entirely from golf. Woods reportedly confessed to sleeping with 120 women outside of his marriage, but it wasn't until April 2010 when Ellen decided to split up with Woods for good after she discovered that one of those mistresses was the next door neighbor's daughter who was in college at the time. Go Capanu! Number 3. John Lennon's investigation. Lead guitarist of the Beatles and an incredible musician in his own right, John Lennon was always very open on his political views. He was anti-war, anti-establishment, and anti-government, proven by his counterculture-esque songs like Give Peace a Chance. This marked Lennon as a national threat, and his theory on what that meant was a little fishy. Many times in interviews, he would claim that he was under surveillance 24/7 and that he was seeing the same cars driving near his residence essentially every day. Now, while at first this was taken as the ramblings of a hippie under the influence of mind-altering narcotics, this theory was proven to be true in 1972 when the Immigration and Naturalization Service tried to deport him after the FBI had confirmed that Lennon was under investigation for over a year. He was able to fight back and stay in the country to continue his anti-war agenda. See, hippies aren't always crazy. Okay? Number 2. Arnold has a secret kid. Action movie star and former California Governor Arnold Schwarzenegger made headlines in 2011 with the revelation that an old rumor was in fact true. In 1996, Arnold was married to Maria Shriver, a member of the Kennedy family, and they were prepping to welcome their new son Christopher into the world. Arnie didn't prep by building cribs or baby-proofing the outlets though. Instead, he chose to have an affair with his longtime housekeeper Mildred Baina. Around the same time Christopher was born, so was his illegitimate son, Joseph. Rumors began to rise after his wife noticed the strange and sudden absence of the housekeeper, and wondered if there may have been a more sinister reason for her departure. It was later revealed in 2011, though, that Arnold decided to address the rumors and claim Joseph as his own. It turns out that Arnold had given Mildred a large severance package so that she could properly raise their son, leaving on what they called good terms. Eventually, though, after many years of trying and lots of paperwork, Maria and Arnold were finally divorced, and he is now able to spend more time as a father. Mildred is a chef, and little Joseph is now all grown up and following in his father's footsteps as both a model and in the movie industry. And number 1, Donald Trump's criminal activities. In 2006, Donald Trump was known solely as a wealthy real estate mogul with a hit reality show called The Apprentice. He had recently been married to Melania Trump, and he had a newly born 4-month-old baby. However, reports leaked that Trump was in the midst of an affair with adult film star Stormy Daniels after she filed a civil suit claiming that the contract he made her sign to keep quiet was invalid. Daniels claimed that herself and Trump had shared a very intimate relationship for roughly a year during his marriage to Melania. These weren't the first allegations of an affair, as Trump has been back and forth in the media since the 1970s, being accused by 26 women of harassment or misconduct. While these rumors never held any merit at first, the truth was finally set free. After being the most chaotic president in recent history, it was announced in March that Trump was being arrested on 34 separate violations of a New York law against falsifying business documents to conceal another crime. Basically, over the years, he was essentially taking company money and using it to pay off anyone who might have been a threat to him, both personally and politically. Number 10. Amber Heard. According to the internet, Amber Heard is not only an actress, but she's also a humanitarian and a social activist. Okay, sure. She got her big film break starring in the horror movie All the Boys Love Mandy Lane, but I was genuinely shocked when I saw what movies she's also been in. Did you guys know that she was 406 in the movie Zombieland? And she was Seth Rogen's love interest in Pineapple Express. Oh, and she's the reason that Aquaman 2 is gonna be delayed. Since 2016, Amber Heard and her ex-husband Johnny Depp have been throwing accusations at each other left and right. They were accusing each other of domestic altercations that may or may not have taken place during their brief one-year marriage. Those accusations were confirmed during their very public trial, in which Depp was suing Amber for defamation over a 2018 op-ed for the Washington Post. While the trial brought to light some disturbing truths on both sides, the biggest shock came when, after several days of interviews, witness statements, and mountains of paperwork, a jury found that Amber's statements were in fact false and granted Depp the defamation. Amber had filed a countersuit, which she also kinda technically won, but it was way less than what Johnny got. Sound files, video footage, and witnesses gave concrete evidence that Amber was the instigator in many of their disputes, and that she was subsequently fired from any and all future projects. Number 9. Ellen DeGeneres. In her first on-air appearance since announcing the end of her eponymous daytime talk show, Ellen DeGeneres called the press cycle around allegations of toxicity at her workplace orchestrated and misogynistic. The announcement that her show would be cancelled came after months of receiving negative press following a BuzzFeed article reporting former employees alleging the environment was racially insensitive, filled with harassment, and, hey, bullying too. Ellen maintained in interviews that these allegations were not the reason that she would be leaving the show, simply claiming that the program was no longer challenging for her. While the BuzzFeed report did not allege toxic behavior by Ellen herself, several former staff members claimed the whole "Be Kind" motto was not genuine at all, which was reflected in a Twitter thread published by comedian Kevin T. Porter. He asked people to send in their horror stories about the host's rudeness over the years and received over 2,000 replies. Warner Brothers opened an investigation and included that there were some flaws in the day-to-day management of the studio. Following this, Ellen appeared on the 18th season premiere of her show in 2020 and made an on-air apology to viewers, claiming responsibility, later stating that there was no way that she could know the true nature of the work environment due to the 255 employees that worked for her across multiple buildings. Ever heard of a complaint box? Number 8. Katy Perry collects hair. The singer was once asked during an interview a very simple and cute question of, hey, what's in your purse? And fans perhaps hoped that she would respond with like a bottle of Killer Queen, which was her, cologne, or cupcake crumbs, but Katy Perry answered with, oh, it's just a big empty bag, and then went on to describe what used to be in it. You see, she claimed that while in attendance at her first Grammy Awards ceremony that she got to share a dressing room with Miley Cyrus and Taylor Swift. Now, with all that excitement, you'd think she'd ask for a picture, right? Yeah, no, she asked them for a lock of each of their hair, which Katie found, quote, like totally awesome, but hey, that's weird because She then elaborated that she would tie little bows to each of them and like put them in her purse. This sounds so made up, like how could that be true? No, Miley and Taylor actually backed that story up online, and Perry claims to this day that Miley Cyrus is the most famous person in her purse and in her contact books. Nice. Number 7. Josie Smollett. In 2019, American actor Josie Smollett, best known for his role in the Mighty Ducks movies and his time as Jamal Leon on the show Empire, approached the Chicago Police Department to report a hate crime. According to himself, 2 unknown individuals appeared from the shadows and began harassing Josie. They flung racial and homophobic slurs at Smollett, while one attacker poured a flammable substance on him, and the other began to insert his head into some rope. News of this altercation made headlines in the following days, as it was announced that an investigation would be made to help piece together what exactly happened. Well, too bad for Josie, the Chicago PD are pretty good at their jobs. They quickly found that the 2 strangers in question were 2 Nigerian brothers named Abimbola and Olambinjo, who had worked as extras on the set of Empire. They raided the brothers' home and found documents confirming the pair had been paid $3,500 each to stage the event. They had video footage of the brothers purchasing the masks, gloves, and hats that are seen in the altercation footage. They also found receipts for the liquid and rope used during the attack. Hey, not a great time to keep track of your finances, guys. In 2019, Smollett was charged with a Class 4 felony for filing a false police report, and on top of that, the Chicago PD was suing him for $130,000 for wasting their time and resources on a fake incident. In the end, he spent 150 days in jail and coughed up a lot of the cash. Number 6. Kylie Cosmetics. Kylie Jenner is the youngest of the Kardashian clan and is extremely successful for her age. In 2019, she made the cover of Forbes magazine as the youngest self-made billionaire ever, following the successful partnership between her cosmetic brand and Ulta, a beauty salon company, which would allow the brand previously only available online and in random pop-up stores to be placed on shelves and in Ulta's 1,000 plus stores. This is unfortunate considering the true nature of just where these products come from. You see, rumors of Kylie's mistreatment for her employees were circulating for weeks after several claims from former employees were made public. It turns out every single thing that they said was true. Many people at the factory that mixed and packaged her makeup and beauty products would report that they were never actually given proper safety equipment that you would require to do that job. They were only given hairnets, lab coats, and safety goggles, leaving their hands and faces completely exposed. Workers would regularly report migraines and chemical burns varying in severity. Now, if this isn't bad enough, they were also forced to act as human test subjects for Kylie's new products. This woman was on the cover of Forbes magazine. She was so proud of her company for not testing products on animals, but like, can we agree that using people is like a billion times worse? Number 5. King Charles's affair. The recently crowned King of England has not always played by the rules. In 1981, Prince Charles married Lady Diana, who was 20 years old at the time, leaving a 13-year age gap between them. Behind closed doors, it was speculated that Charles was never actually in love with Diana in the first place, and that was later proven to be true. While things seemed pleasant on the outside, behind the scenes, Charles was secretly meeting up and having an affair with his ex-girlfriend Camilla Bowles. The alleged relationship was written about in the 1992 Diana, Her True Story, but in 1994, Charles actually confirmed the allegations in a documentary, because that's the perfect place to do it. The couple filed for a divorce in 1996, and Diana died 1 year later. While the now king made it clear that he had no plans to remarry, he ended up getting remarried in 2005 to, oh hey look, it's Camilla Bowles, shocking. Number 4. Arnold's love child. Action movie star and former California Governor Arnold Schwarzenegger made headlines in 2011 with the revelation that an old rumor was in fact true. In 1996, Arnold was married to Maria Shriver, a member of the Kennedy family, and they were prepping to welcome their new son Christopher into the world. Arnie didn't prep by building them cribs or baby-proofing the outlets though. Instead, he decided to have an affair with his longtime housekeeper Mildred Baina. Around the same time Christopher was born, so was his illegitimate son, Joseph. Rumors began to rise after his wife noticed the strange and sudden absence of the housekeeper and wondered if there might have been a more sinister reason for her departure. It was later revealed in 2011 that Arnold decided to address those rumors and claim Joseph as his own. Turns out Arnold had given Mildred a large severance package back in the day so she could properly raise their son, leaving on what they call good terms. Well, eventually, after many years of trying and lots of paperwork, Maria and Arnold were divorced, and he's now able to spend more time as a papa. Number 3. Donald Trump's criminal activities. In 2006, Donald Trump was known solely as a wealthy real estate mogul with a hit reality TV show, The Apprentice. He had recently been married to one Melania Trump, and they had a new newly born 4-month-old baby. However, reports leaked that Trump was in the midst of an affair with adult film star Stormy Daniels after she filed a civil suit claiming the contract he made her sign to keep quiet was invalid. Daniels claimed that herself and Trump had shared an intimate relationship for roughly a year during his marriage to Melania. These weren't the first allegations of an affair, as Trump has been back and forth in the media since the 1970s, being accused by like 26 women of misconduct. While these rumors never held any merit at first, the truth was finally set free. After being the most chaotic president in recent history, it was announced in March that Trump was going to be arrested on 34 separate violations of a New York law against falsifying business documents to conceal another crime. Over the years, he was essentially taking company money and using it to pay off anyone who may have been a threat to him, both personally or politically. Thanks for the free money, Donnie. Number 2. Paula Deen. Paula Deen is basically Martha Stewart just from the South. Paula opened her first restaurant in a Best Western lodge in Savannah and called it The Lady in 1991. She went on to own and operate several of her own restaurants, as well as hosting a very popular cooking show called Paula's Home Cookin'. Paula shared her recipes for delicious home-cooked meals and took the cooking world by storm, until 2013 when it was revealed that maybe Paula shouldn't be allowed to have a phone. Rumors had been circulating of a more sinister persona buried beneath the warm, sweet Southern lady we saw on TV, and it turned out those rumors were confirmed by Paula herself. Paula admitted to using racial slurs on her social media posts in the past. She would post these rants and aggressive comments, and then she would just immediately delete them to like avoid being blasted in the media. Well, hey, the internet's forever, Paula, and Paula's cooking show got cancelled. It's all good though. She started another show on the very successful streaming device Roku. You know, so popular, just so popular. Number 1, Michael Richards. Michael Richards played one of the most famous sitcom characters of all time on one of the most famous sitcoms of all time. He played Cosmo Kramer on the show Seinfeld for 9 years, and in that time made fans laugh and cry with his hilarious antics and wild lifestyle. Unfortunately, those laughs and cries turned to boos and anger. In 2006, Michael made an appearance at the Laugh Factory in California, where he went on a racially fueled tirade after responding to a heckler in the audience. Rumors of his bias had been circulating for a few years, as Richard wasn't a stranger to using choice words and phrases in his stand-up acts that were considered offensive and racist. Since the reveal of his true behavior, Richards has received an enormous amount of backlash and has given up comedy for good. He was also brought on as a guest on Jerry Seinfeld's popular show Comedians in Cars Getting Coffee and addressed the situation with Seinfeld. Richards seemed very apologetic, and he understood that what he said and did was wrong. But hey man, the words that he spoke that night still circulate the internet to this day, so sorry Michael.
Coming in at 10, Jay-Z and Rihanna had an affair. Now this seems to be a rumor within a rumor, thanks to Jay-Z playing an instrumental role in Rihanna's career. Some even say that Rihanna actually made this rumor up herself to gain popularity. However, some say Ring the Alarm by Beyonce is about Rihanna and the affair she had with Jay-Z. There is so much swirling around this one. However, the rumor that most believe is that Solange Knowles beat up Jay-Z in the infamous elevator video because they had a run-in with Rihanna. Juicy indeed. They 100%. In at 9, Cher had ribs removed. According to this rumor, my favorite person in the world, Cher, had some ribs removed. Cher is known for her incredible pop hits such as Believe, If I Could Turn Back Time, and Gypsy Tramps and Thieves. However, she's also been outspoken about her plastic surgery. While her body has always been flawless, even at the age of 73, would smash, Cher refused to admit that she had 2 ribs removed to give her a smaller waist, something that has been speculated for years. I mean, to each their own. I don't really care. Ribs or not, still love her. But I have my doubts. Cher is loud and I think she would have voiced this. Nothing but respect for my queen. Love each and every rib. In at 8, Magic Johnson got HIV at an orgy with Eddie Murphy. Yes, this one is a lot. In 1991, Irvin Magic Johnson announced that he had HIV, the result of a number of sexual encounters with women over the course of his basketball career. However, some people weren't sold on this, and rumors were abuzz that he actually got infected after an orgy Eddie Murphy threw that was attended by a handful of prostitutes. Further speculation ties Jermaine Stewart, the We Don't Have to Take Our Clothes Off singer, who died of complications to Johnson as well. In at 7, Khloe Kardashian is OJ's daughter. I mean, this one is a tale as old as time and has some merit, I think. If you look closely, there is a striking resemblance between sisters Kim and Kourtney. However, Khloe looks nothing like her sisters. This is rumored to be because her mother Kris had an affair with O.J. Simpson, a close friend of the family's, and that the incarcerated star might actually be Khloe's real father. However, Kris quickly hopped on the content train and had Khloe take a paternity test on an episode of Keeping Up with the Kardashians, which proved it was false. Sure, Jan. I mean, unless they actually got OJ to do it as well, I don't see how that works. We know Chris is the mother, we just want to know who the father is. In at 6, Oprah and Gayle are lovers. This has been a long time rumor that has floated around the internet for years. The theory goes that Oprah Winfrey and Gayle aren't just friends, they're actually a secret couple, and I'm so here for it. Gayle has no idea where the rumor came from or how it started, stating, "I've given up trying to figure that out. At this stage, if you still think that, it's on you." Honestly, Gayle, I still think it, and it's on me. And you're probably on Oprah right now. In at 5, Blake Shelton supports Paul Ryan. Blake Shelton was once spotted alongside Paul Ryan with the singer snapped shaking hands with the Speaker of the House, Paul Ryan, at a restaurant. Of course, because of this, everyone believed that the two were in cahoots. However, Shelton was quick to shut down the rumors, saying that they just happened to bump into each other in matching outfits. Sure, they were both wearing camo, looked like they'd just come from shooting something. They're friends. In at 4, the NBA suspended Michael Jordan for gambling. In '93, after the Chicago Bulls won 3 championships, the NBA reportedly launched an investigation into whether the Chicago Bulls guard put bets on the game in which he played. Michael Jordan admitted to gambling, but insisted that the habit never affected his livelihood. Shortly after this, he stunned everyone by quitting the NBA to play baseball, and the investigation was ultimately dropped. The theory is that NBA chief David Stern and Jordan colluded to have him quit for a period of time so that he could re-enter the league and avoid all of the mess and not be in trouble. Respect. In at 3, Taylor Swift dumped Calvin Harris for buying sex. According to this rumor, when DJ Calvin Harris was spotted leaving a cheap massage parlor known for illegally selling sex, he was very quick to deny the rumors. However, that didn't stop the rumors from happening. Then of course his relationship with Taylor Swift ended not long after. Could there be a connection between the two? Did she end the relationship because he was paying for sex? Who knows? Who cares? In at 2, Mikey from the Life commercial stomach exploded. This urban legend centers on Mikey, the kid who hated everything except Life cereal. The rumor was that that young boy had ingested a mixture of Coke and Pop Rocks, and in turn it made his stomach explode, with the boy dying instantly. However, to debunk this theory, John Gilchrist is very much alive, but will the combination kill you? That's something we don't want to find out. It probably doesn't kill you, but you never know. Should I try it on camera? I'm turning 27. I'll do it on my birthday and then we'll see if I live. 27 Club, here I come. And finally, coming in at number 1, Jennifer Lawrence caused Chris Pratt's divorce. According to some theorists, J-Lo caused the split between Chris Pratt and Anna Faris. Crazy, I know, but possibly true. When Pratt starred alongside Lawrence in the movie Passengers, rumors were abuzz that the pair were having a steamy affair. It even became so rampant that Chris's now ex-wife Anna addressed the rumors, with all of them adamantly denying it. However, Faris later admitted publicly that her concern about her husband's alleged infidelity was a factor that led to their eventual divorce. More bizarre still, Lawrence is still friends with both Pratt and Faris. Way to play both sides. Coming in at 10, Juliana Margulies and Archie Panjabi. Now, I love and hate this rumor simply because I absolutely loved the show The Good Wife, and I adored both of these characters. The rumor goes though that Juliana Margulies and Archie Panjabi both hated each other so much they needed green screen to film their final scenes together because they couldn't stand being in the same room as one another. When Panjabi filmed her final scene on the series with Margulies, it was revealed that the two filmed it separately and had it stitched together in post-production. However, Margulies stated that this was just gossip and that Panjabi was filming her other show The Fall and couldn't make it back in time. However, things got heated when Panjabi took to Twitter to deny these claims, stating that The Fall wasn't even in production when the finale was filmed. Yikes. I actually went to the same university as Archie Panjabi. Fun fact. Coming in at 9, Beyonce faked her first pregnancy. This theory widely circulated the internet back in 2011 when the singer was expecting her first child, Blue Ivy. Now the theory goes that Beyonce was never truly pregnant with her child, and instead she commissioned a surrogate to bring her daughter to term, and she fooled everyone by wearing a prosthetic stomach. However, all was going well when we all found out the truth on live television, when the singer's stomach seemingly deflated as she was taking a seat on an Australian talk show. So of course, as soon as people saw this, they went crazy with theories. Things got so intense for the singer that in 2016, while pregnant with twins, she did a partially nude photo shoot to prove to the world that she was carrying her babies. Something she really didn't have to do, but our queen blessed us all. Coming in at 8, Gene Simmons' tongue. Kiss, as we all know, are a band that would do quite literally anything for attention, but none more so than bassist Gene Simmons. He is known for his long, really long tongue, and rumours began circulating about whether it was in fact real or not. Many actually suspect that the Kiss frontman had a cow's tongue grafted onto his own so that the persona as the demon would be more believable. However, the rock star has adamantly denied these claims, as you would. Coming in at 7, David Bowie and Mick Jagger. This rumour was cooked up on the Joan Rivers show back on May 4th, 1990, when Angela Bowie, ex-wife of David Bowie, spilled some dirt on her famous ex-husband. While on the show, she claimed, I quote, "I caught him in bed with men several times. In fact, the best time I caught him in bed was with Mick Jagger." And when prompted to answer if they had their clothes off, she stated, they certainly did. Up until that point, David Bowie had openly acknowledged his bisexuality, and although Mick Jagger had not made any such statement, rumour had it that the singer was known to sleep with men, perhaps even a bandmate or two. Coming in at 6, Phil Collins' In the Air Tonight. According to this rumour, the lyrics to the Phil Collins song In the Air Tonight are about the night he watched his friend die. Now, the lyrics themselves are ambiguous, but one tale says that the song adapts an incident in which Collins was on a mountain and watched his friend drown in a lake below. Apparently there was a man nearby who could have saved him, but didn't. The rumour even goes as far as to claim that Collins invited the man to go to one of his concerts so that he could play the song for him in person. However, saying that Phil Collins has claimed many times that the entire Face Value album is about the end of a marriage. Coming in at 5, Michael Jackson slept in an oxygen chamber. Back in the 1980s, there was a rumour that the King of Pop owned a hyperbaric oxygen chamber and used to sleep in the rejuvenation tank because he believed it was extremely healthy and would prolong his life. Then in 1986, a photo was leaked of Jackson appearing to be sleeping in the oxygen tank, with many reports circulating at the time that the tank was in his home and that's where he would sleep. However, back in 1993, Jackson flat out said that he had never had an oxygen chamber in his home, and that the chamber he was pictured in was for his charity, the Michael Jackson Burn Center. Coming in at 4, January Jones's baby daddy. Back in 2011, January Jones gave birth to her son Xander, and to this day nobody knows who the father of the child is. However, that hasn't stopped people from speculating. Some have guessed that the father is her ex, Jason Sudeikis. Others think it was her X-Men First Class director Matthew Vaughn, who was married to Claudia Schiffer. However, the most likely person is Bobby Flay. This is because Flay's ex-wife, Stephanie March, once told a press room that the reason she got divorced was because Flay was having an affair with January Jones, and is the father of her son. So, there we have it, I guess. Coming in at 3, Steve from Blue's Clues. A ton of rumours circulated the news when Steve Burns left Blue's Clues back in 2002, and as most fans tend to do, they fabricated stories about the actor dying in a car accident, having a problem with alcoholism, and even being put in an insane asylum. In the world of the TV show, the character left under the premise that he was going off to college, and that's when his replacement came along, Joe and his big orange sweater. The real reason is far from what I previously mentioned though. He was going bald. I quote, "I know I wasn't going to be doing children's television all my life, mostly because I refused to lose my hair on a kids' TV show, and it was happening fast. Respect." Coming in at 2, Richard Gere and the Gerbil. Now, this rumour is perhaps the most absurd thing I've ever read in my entire life, and honestly, and I warn you before going into this that it is not nice and kind of upsetting. However, saying that, Richard Gere himself has called this infamous story an urban myth, and that it is completely untrue. Back in the 90s, Gere was coming off the success of films such as Pretty Woman, during which time the actor was supposedly rushed to Cedars-Sinai Hospital in LA for an emergency gerbilectomy. That's right, a gerbilectomy. According to reports, a gerbil was inserted inside of the actor with erotic intent. Yeah, I can't even say that with a straight face. Now, thankfully, there is no shred of evidence surrounding this claim. However, Gere has suspicions on who started this rumour, Sylvester Stallone. I quote, "Richard was fired from our movie set and to this day seriously dislikes me. He even thinks I'm the individual responsible for the gerbil rumour. Not true, but that's the rumour." And finally, coming in at number 1, Angelina Jolie slept with her brother. Angelina Jolie has always had an interesting dating history, from Billy Bob Thornton to Val Kilmer to Brad Pitt. However, the incident that always stands out to us is the 2000 Oscars. Jolie showed up with her brother James Haven as her date, and the two went as far as to share a passionate kiss together. Following the kiss, Jolie won an Oscar for her role in Girl Interrupted and said, "I'm in shock, and I'm so in love with my brother right now," before going on to say, "He just held me and said he loved me, and I know he's so happy for me." Okay. calm down. The internet, of course, was abuzz with speculation that the siblings were closer than they should be. However, the two have adamantly denied these claims, as you would, and as you should. Coming in at 10, Tom Cruise is an alien. Tom Cruise, as we know, is one of the most famous members of the Church of Scientology. There is so much mystery surrounding the church, but particularly surrounding the galactic ruler Xenu. According to the Washington Post, Scientologists believe that Xenu once expelled humans to Earth from another planet, and their disembodied spirits live in everyone. Saying that, many have theorized that Cruise is in fact part alien spirit. It has also been rumored that Cruise built an alien bunker at his Colorado estate out of fear that Xenu would attack again. Coming in at 9, Walt Disney's body. Now, prior to Walt Disney's death, his health had been deteriorating for many months before he finally agreed to enter St. Joseph Hospital in California on November 2, 1966, where a walnut-sized spot was discovered on his left lung. After a successful surgery and 2 weeks of post-operative care, Disney was released from the hospital before growing too weak and returning to the hospital again. His health then began to fail even more, and Walt died 2 weeks later when his circulatory system collapsed on the morning of December 15, 1966. Following his death, numerous claims were made that his body was frozen somewhere at Disneyland, specifically under the Pirates of the Caribbean attraction. Yikes. Coming in at number 8, Dolly Parton's ribs. Like Cher on our previous list, Dolly Parton has also been the subject to ridiculous rumors about her tiny frame. However, the singer clarified that she's never undergone any such surgery during a 2014 interview with Woman's Day. I quote, "I went into a restroom in Los Angeles years ago and this girl said, 'Oh, I want you to tell me, does that really hurt?' I was like, 'What? Does what hurt?' She said, 'Like when they take your ribs out.'" She then went on to debunk the rumor, saying that her waist is little because nothing grows in the shade. Coming in at 7, Ted Cruz is the Zodiac Killer. The Zodiac Killer is a pseudonym of an unidentified serial killer who operated in Northern California from at least the late 1960s to the early 1970s. The killer targeted 4 men and 3 women between the ages of 16 and 29, with 2 of the men surviving attempted murder. After years of searching, the true identity of the killer has never been discovered. However, there are some out there who believe it to be Texas Senator Ted Cruz. Now, there is no evidence suggesting that this is even remotely true, other than the fact that the senator bears a small resemblance to the sketch of the killer. In fact, an exhaustive investigation by the Washington Post revealed that Cruz was born in 1970, while the first known killing by the Zodiac was in 1968. However, that hasn't stopped people from speculating. Coming in at 6, Cameron Diaz's face. Now, this one is just bizarre, honestly. In 2011, Pop Sugar asked Cameron Diaz what the weirdest rumor she had ever heard about herself was, and she said, "It's that I only wash my face with Evian water." So where does the theory come from? The actress went on to state, I quote, "We live our lives in trailers. Actors are like circus folk. People don't realize that it's super unglamorous, and the water in the trailer comes from tanks they put chemicals in so that it doesn't freeze. It's like antifreeze. You would never wash your face with it. So anyone who washes their face at work would have to use bottled water to wash their face. There's a grain of truth in everything that someone has taken it and just spoiled it. So was someone ruining everything for everyone?" Coming in at 5, Justin Bieber is a reptile. According to some theorists and Australian news website Perth Now, during one of Justin Bieber's visits down under a few years back, hundreds of eyewitnesses apparently saw their idol turn into a giant reptile. Now, allegedly, several witnesses served up some incredibly interesting quotes, including, "There were girls hiding in toilets, crying, guys were running for the exits, jumping in taxis to get out of there." Classic. Apparently, the star in his reptile form has a black stripe down the middle, and big scaly claws that lash out angrily. Now, of course, there is no evidence to confirm the rumor, not to mention the fact that the idea of a lizard person is biologically impossible. But coming in at 4, Marilyn Manson. Rumor has it that before launching into his music career, shock rocker Marilyn Manson played Kevin Arnold's sidekick, Paul Pfeiffer, on the popular TV series The Wonder Years. However, Pfeiffer was in reality played by Josh Saviano. But the rumor doesn't stop there. According to theorists, Saviano grew up, changed his name, and reconfigured his career to become satanic rock singer Marilyn Manson. In reality though, the singer was 19 years old when the Wonder Years began, meaning he would have been far too old to play pre-teen Pfeiffer. Again, people don't like math, so they don't want to do that. Coming in at 3, Mr. Rogers' sweaters. Born Fred Rogers, he was a television personality, musician, puppeteer, writer, producer, and Presbyterian minister. He was also the creator, showrunner, and host of the preschool television series Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood. Now, the star was known for his adorable sweaters, but this rumor goes that he wore those sweaters to cover up the tattoos from his time as a Navy SEAL. However, the truth of the matter is, Fred Rogers never served in any war. He was actually a devoted Presbyterian Presbyterian minister who neither smoked nor drank. Sad times. Can't relate. In it too, Taylor Swift is a clone. A couple years back, an image cropped up online of a woman named Zena LeVay, a high priestess of the Church of Satan. However, it was incredibly difficult not to see the striking resemblance between herself and pop star Taylor Swift. Of course, it wasn't long before rumors began swirling, including one that stated Swift was a clone of LeVay. I quote, "The conspiracy theory is that Swift was taken and replaced by the Illuminati with a clone of LeVay, who was apparently a member of a secretive cult, according to BuzzFeed. Neither Swift nor LeVay have debunked the rumor, therefore it must be true." True. And finally, coming in at number 1, Beyonce kidnapped Sia. In 2016, this crazy theory emerged on Brazilian social media that Beyonce kidnapped fellow pop star Sia and was holding her hostage as her songwriter. Lol. A hashtag even began trending on Twitter called Save Sia. The rumor seemed to have begun because of a misinterpreted article back in 2015 in Billboard in which Sia said that collaborating with Beyonce is like a writing camp and that she's very Frankenstein when she comes to the songs. I don't know how that suggests kidnapping, but to each their own, I guess. Like, was Beyonce down in a basement cutting up people's limbs and sticking them to Sia? I don't think so.
Number 10. There are substances on set. Actors using substances on set is nothing new. A lot of people are pretty sure that Seth Rogen smokes his herbs and spices on set constantly, something he's admitted to doing before, but not as often as the internet makes it out to be. However, in the earlier days of Hollywood, substances were not only done on set, they were encouraged by the studios, who would regularly feed their actors their narcotic of choice on set. In fact, John Belushi from the Blues Brothers was such an avid consumer of no-no snow that the price of powder was built into the budget for the 1980 flick. No wonder he's in sunglasses all day. If he took them off, he'd look like he just got pepper sprayed. Or something. I don't know what happens when you do that stuff. I'm a good boy, I promise. Facts are that this still takes place to this day. Now, I have signed a few NDAs in my time as a locations PA, so I cannot specify who does what and where, but the amount of celebrities that surprisingly love that no-no snow is astonishing. No wonder so many people deliver great performances. It's because they amp themselves up in a bathroom for 5 minutes before every scene. Number 9. Jim Carrey's origins. A Canadian legend, Jim Carrey is considered one of the greatest modern comedians of all time. He famously released 3 films in the year 1995, Dumb and Dumber, The Mask, and Ace Ventura, all of which made millions at the box office and still hold up to this day, except for a couple scenes in Ace Ventura, but we won't get into that. As many know, comedians tend to have a pretty rough backstory, as the best comedy comes from a place of pain. Over the years, Jim has come clean about his strange but fun upbringing. His family struggled financially, and he grew up watching his mother struggle with depression, which he claims to have been passed down to him. Despite his energy, he was a bit of a recluse growing up, and apparently he spent hours in his room making faces in the mirror instead of hanging out with his friends. After dropping out of high school to work a full-time job, Jim and his family were actually forced to live in a Volkswagen van together, becoming homeless for a short period of time. He went on to attempt a career in comedy, at first to minimal success, but of course he was able to find his footing and made his place in comedy history. Number 8. There are ties to the mafia. The film industry may be a multi-billion-dollar business, but where did they get that first bit of cash from to get where they are today? Well, apparently Hollywood has a dark history that's tied to organized crime families. The Trucadero, or the Truck, was a famous spot on the Sunset Strip back in the day, with many celebrities coming through the doors, along with studio heads and notorious mob leaders like Mickey Cohen, who was a regular at the establishment. He was a man who rubbed elbows with many of Hollywood's A-list. In fact, the film Texas Chainsaw Massacre, released in the 1970s, was released by Bryanston Pictures, a company heavily linked to several crime families. While the production studio ended up going bankrupt, Hollywood is still filled with many people doing secret deals. I bet all of the money in my savings account that they had something to do with this Barbenheimer nonsense. Now that's not a lot of money, but the mob runs the memes, confirmed. Number 7. Woody Harrelson's father. Woody is best known in Hollywood as the wildest wild child ever to exist. He eats raw meat, he's an eco-crusader, he's a protester against violence, and an advocate for the legalization of herbs and spices in the United States. He's loved on screen, but did you know that his father took people out for money? And I'm not talking about on dates. That's a different job. Charles Harrelson was sentenced to 2 lifetime sentences for the slaying of a federal judge in San Antonio. And prior to that charge, Charles had previously been acquitted for the slaying of Alan Berg, who was a carpet salesman. And he was convicted of the slaying of Sam DeGalia. He's not the greatest hitman of all time. His track record will prove that. The evidence shows that Charles is not the greatest hitman of all time. Woody doesn't speak much of his father these days, opting instead to leave his family's trouble in the past. He does, however, say that the one piece of advice that his father ever gave him that he still uses to this day is always keep an open mind. Charles knew all about opening minds with bullets. Number 6, they have backups of A-listers. There have been many rumors over the years that Hollywood likes to clone their best and brightest on the off chance that they'll need them again following their ultimate demise. According to the internet, Paul Rudd actually got to star alongside his clone in the show Living with Yourself. Now, Paul has of course claimed that the performance was achieved with CGI and filming one character one day and another the next, but Paul Rudd is also 54 years old and looks like that, so something is not right about this. Now, there is a theory out there that the celebrity elites are made up of lizard people who take the form of actors and singers to influence us, and Paul is thought to be one of those lizard people. Now, I don't believe this theory, I'm just sharing something cool that I found on the internet, but it would be awesome if there were 2 Paul Rudds. In fact, that would be the most chill way to find out that cloned people exist. Just Paul being like, "Hi, I'm Paul," and "Hi, I'm also Paul. Everything's gonna be fine." Number 5, Mark Wahlberg should be in jail. Marky Mark and the Funky Bunch hit the rap scene in 1991, and despite sounding like the title of a cheesy kids show, the crew had a small following and garnered a bit of success. Enough for leading man Mark Wahlberg to be spotted and picked up by Hollywood to star in The Corruptor, a 1999 action flick that sees Mark play the leading man Danny Wallace, a police officer who attempts to stop substance trafficking and corruption by the Chinese triads. He's had a successful acting career that has recently been declining in quality, but he's still acting and he looks jacked at the age of 52, so please don't hurt me, Mark. Infinite was just hard to watch. Growing up in Boston, he was the youngest of 9 children and was relentlessly bullied by his fellow siblings. His parents divorced when he was very young, and he became addicted to no-no snow by the time he was in his mid-teens. He dropped out of high school and was eventually arrested when he was just 18 for attempting to slay 2 Vietnamese men. Apparently, he was walking home late one night under the influence of a hallucinogenic narcotic when he spotted the men. Close friends at the time have confirmed that Mark had a racial biased upbringing, which caused him to be instantly aggressive towards anyone who just wasn't white. He attempted to swing a large log at them, which did make contact and knocked one of the men unconscious. He was eventually released after serving only 45 days of his 2-year prison sentence, and he vowed to change his life. Now, so far, he's kept that promise, and I can personally confirm that he's very polite and patient, because he actually watched a movie at the theater I used to work at. He does travel with a crew of 5 people at all times surrounding him. It's a bit intimidating, just a little. Number 4, Margot Robbie may be crazy. Margot may be a perfect Barbie on screen, but apparently behind the scenes, she might be a psychopath. In a recent interview with BBC Radio 1, Margot reminisced about a little prank that she pulled on an old babysitter that involved kitchen cutters, which is the word I'm forced to use for the thing that you cut tomatoes with. Apparently, Margot had just gotten a new babysitter, a much older woman that just apparently wasn't as cool as Talia. So she hatched a plan of sweet, sweet revenge. After a particularly trying day where Margot refused to take a bath, she decided to kick the old lady out for good. She grabbed ketchup, her stabby jabby things, and laid face down on the kitchen tiles. You know, the old "I've been stabbed" routine. As you may expect, her babysitter walked in, took one look, screamed, and just ran out the door. Traumatized, the woman quit and Margot successfully got her old babysitter back. But that is messed up. That is so messed. And Margot was like young when she did this. Like, it's a very dark place for someone's mind to go so early on in their life. Has she secretly been a little bit crazy this whole time? It might explain why she was so good as Harley Quinn. Number 3, Tim Allen's hobbies. Tim Allen is the voice of Buzz Lightyear and the star of ABC's popular sitcom Home Improvement, which premiered in 1991. While he may have played a family man on TV, many fans may not know that Tim was a smuggler of no-no snow in the early 1970s. According to Tim, he got mixed up with some bad people back in the day while he was selling certain substances on the street for a few bucks. In 1978, Tim was arrested in Kalamazoo Battle Creek International Airport airport, what a name, and was caught with more than 650 grams, 1.4 pounds of no-no snow. Unfortunately for Tim, state legislators had just passed a law that tied a life sentence to any conviction of selling 650 grams or more. Like, as he was being arrested, there was a guy in a car with him like, and if you have 650 grams, you're a goner. However, that sentence was never served, as it was revealed that Tim was set up by an undercover police officer who had been following him for months. Due to this and Tim's cooperation in providing the names of fellow dealers to the authorities, it led to him receiving a lighter conviction that allowed him to be sentenced in a federal court instead of a state, so being able to ignore that new policy entirely. His information led to 20 arrests and the sentencing of a major dealer. Can that be a movie, please? Number 2, CGI'd before they pass. Unfortunately, computers are not only making everyone's lives easier when it comes to looking cool on screen, but they're also being used in some of the creepiest ways ever. So, the first example of someone being CGI'd into a movie following their passing was Carrie Fisher, and I do mean first to have a speaking line and be a significant character. Rise of Skywalker did not heavily feature her, but the fact that they had that ready to go so fast after she passed, it was super unnerving. They pulled this with Stan Lee too in one of his last on-screen cameos, and Marvel was going to do this with Chadwick Boseman in the sequel to Black Panther, but the studio changed their minds last minute, and thank the good Lord. But not only is Hollywood prepared to CGI their people into movies, they seem to have inside knowledge of when it's gonna happen. With the new addition of AI into the world of film, we're close to Hollywood not even needing actors anymore and just asking the computer to make Tom Cruise do stunts. Deepfake technology is also getting better and better, making it extremely difficult to tell if a video is authentic or just some CGI shenanigans. Nope, still just me. Number 1, they're all broke. That's right, despite it being one of the most lucrative industries in the world, most of Hollywood's actors, writers, directors aren't as well off as we may think. Unless you've been living under a rock for the past month, most of Hollywood is closed right now as its staff are on strike. Some of the toppest of tier actors have joined their crew in solidarity, not stopping until Hollywood's producers and big budget studios start sharing the money that they make. Actor Sean Gunn gave an interview this last week where he mentions working on a show currently streaming on Netflix, a show that has made over $4 million in residuals, of which he's received basically nothing. This type of financial woe extends to a ton of people in Hollywood, and I just wanted to take this moment to wish luck to anyone out there on the picket lines. Hollywood, pay your people, and everyone holding a sign or waiting for the strike to end, get what you're worth and get back to making the world a better place.